Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Thursday night hockey show, although it feels like a political deep dive night for me tonight. Our thoughts are with the people of Ukraine tonight. I don't know, care or know what your feelings are about war. What is happening in Ukraine is just an awful humanitarian crisis, and I pray for peace to be found soon, although I'm not hopeful. Um, but let's get to the hockey news. My partner Travis Rednick has friends and loved ones over in Ukraine, so he's taking the night off. Of course, he's concerned for those folks, and I'm concerned as well. And I hope for the best for everyone involved. But let's get to the hockey news for this week. It's going to be kind of a short show tonight since I don't have Travis here, but there's plenty of news going on, including stuff that's related to this uh, invasion by Russia into Ukraine. In response to the Russian invasion in Ukraine, Helsinki-based Helsinki, Finland-based hockey club Jokerit, which is the lone Scandinavian club in the Continental Hockey League, Russia's top hockey league. In fact, they're the second ranked team in the Western Conference of the KHL heading into the playoffs. They have announced that they are withdrawing from the playoffs in protest of this move by Russia. Um, the playoffs were due to start March 1st. They were going to play Spartak, I believe. So there's no word from the KHL in response to this, and how will they address this? Will Spartak just get a free ride into the second round, or whatever? My guess is that this is probably the last we'll see of Jokerit in the KHL. Um, Putin will not take kindly to them, uh, you know, protesting the invasion like this. He's more than happy to toss people into jail over what's going on, and that's what's going to happen there. I think Joker Eat will head back to the Finnish league. It'll be interesting to see if the Scandinavian leagues kind of get together and form their own super league. Um, in the NHL, or actually, I'm sorry, the Ukrainian Hockey League has suspended operations due to not only the invasion but the subsequent declaration of martial law by Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Um, Earlier in the week, the Ukrainian Hockey League made headlines for other reasons, and not that great of reasons either. Um, uh, Ukrainian national team forward and a forward for HC Donbass, and Donbass has been in the news lately. Andrei Deniskin has been suspended for an entire year by the IIHF. So basically, any IIHF sanctioned events, including the Ukrainian Hockey League, he will not be able to participate in for a full calendar year from, I believe it was Friday when they made that determination. So um, he was suspended for a full year because he made racist uh, gestures towards African American player Jalen Smerik, who had been playing in the KHL, or I'm sorry, in the Ukrainian Super League, and that was back in September. And Deniskin was supposed to come back from the longest suspension that the Ukrainian Hockey League could give uh, fairly soon. So that's the IHF stepped in and supplemented the suspension. In the NHL, this is a very interesting thing. In fact, I've got the game on. In fact, let's take a look at the games that are going to be going on tonight. Uh, Devils take on the Penguins. That's starting here in a moment. That's in Pittsburgh. The Leafs host the Minnesota Wild. That should be a good game. The Panthers and the Blue Jackets. I'll talk about the next game in a moment. Tonight at 8:30, the Predators host the Stars. Usually they start about 8 o'clock Eastern, but there's a special reason why the Predators are pushing that game back a half hour. I'll get into that in a moment. And we have three good games starting on the West Coast. The Canucks and Flames start at 10 o'clock. The Bruins and the Kraken at 10 o'clock as well. And finally, the Islanders are out west on facing the Sharks. So That's your slate of games tonight. The game I did not mention is the interesting game of the night. It's so interesting that ESPN is covering the game. This is on ESPN, not the app, not the ESPN2, not ESPN Ocho. It's on the mothership, and that speaks to how this game is being perceived. The Capitals will be playing the Rangers tonight, and it's interesting because in this geopolitical context, um, Alexander Ovechkin is a very famous Putin backer among NHL players. He started a thing in 2018 when Putin was running for re-election called Team Putin, and so he's one of the more outspoken KHL or I'm sorry NHL supporters of Vladimir Putin. On the Rangers is a gentleman named Artemi Panarin, who is a fantastic hockey player in his own right. Um, Artemi Panarin is a noted critic of Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin. And to get back at Artemi Panarin, there was a story put out in the media 2 years ago about how Artemi Panarin had raped a young girl when he was in the KHL. I think they were both underage at the time. There was nothing ever substantiated about that, and the league never took action against Artemi Panarin, although Artemi Panarin did take time off to address that situation during the year, and so this is this game has kind of an interesting geopolitical context to it. Not only two really top teams in the Metropolitan Division facing off. Right now, the Capitals are holding down the fourth spot in the Eastern Conference Metropolitan Division. The Rangers are just above them in third place. Caps, I'm sorry, the Rangers have a couple games in hand, and they're 4 points up on the Caps. Caps are pretty comfortable in their fourth place position. Um, the next team would be the Columbus Blue Jackets. They're at 53 points. They're a full 12 points behind the Capitals at this point, despite having a couple games in hand. I fully expect Washington to make the playoffs and probably face Carolina in the first round. But yeah, this is going to be an entertaining game, not just because it's between two really good teams. It's because it is has this extra added dimension of geopolitics with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. All right. Um, so that really is all the news that's related to the Ukrainian crisis. Let's talk about the trade deadline, which is going to be coming up in the back half of March. So we're a little under a month away from the trade deadline. I'll probably be going live the day of the trade deadline to talk trades and all that fun stuff. Hopefully, Travis will be able to join me on that day, and we talk trades, and hopefully, we'll have happier times at that point, and we won't see mushrooms growing across the planet. Um, so, trio trades have happened since our last broadcast, and they all involved Arizona. Arizona is and it's paying off for Arizona. I'll get to that in a moment. Friday, Arizona dealt Ryan Dzingel and Ilya Labushkin to Toronto, um, and that was in exchange for forward Nick Ritchie and either a 2023 third round pick, or they could go back and get a higher pick in 2025 as a second rounder. So that was their option. I don't know what they're going to choose, um, but they got a little while to make that choice. The only thing about that trade is that it does hold up two picks for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the future. If they want to move one of those picks for another deal, they'll have to wait until Arizona makes that choice. Um, they weren't done dealing with between Toronto and Arizona. The next day, Carter Hutton was acquired by the Toronto Maple Leafs for reasons I'm not really sure why, and it's for future considerations, whatever that means. I have no idea what they're going to get for Carter Hutton. Used jockstrap, bag of pucks. I don't. Bag of pucks might be a little rich. Um, it's a curious trade because Hutton Toronto had to have seen Hutton over the last 2 years. I mean, he played down the road in Buffalo, even though we had the All Canadian division last year when they didn't play. Uh, Buffalo and Toronto's media market's pretty much the same. Um, they had to have known that Hutton struggled in Buffalo, and he got off to a horrible start, even for Carter Hutton in Arizona before getting injured. He was carrying a 7.76 goals against average and a 741 save percentage. Sevens may be lucky, but it's not if you're a goaltender and those are your numbers. Um, but Carter Hutton's had a lower body injury since early in the season, and last I heard, there was question as to whether he was going to actually be able to come back and play. So it's a curious cap move. I don't know why Toronto's bringing on Hutton. I mean, worst comes to worst, you might have, might face what Colorado did a few years ago in the playoffs, where you get down to your third or fourth goaltender. But if it's Carter Hutton, you're not doing yourselves any favor. So we're at that. The Rangers and the Capitals game is underway. I haven't seen any fireworks yet, but we'll try and keep an eye on that. um, and then today, Boston acquired the rights to Providence College's Michael Callahan in exchange for a seventh round pick in the 24 draft. So, curious trades for the Coyotes. They have been stacking draft picks, but now we're seeing them stack draft picks in subsequent classes. And they could have a 23rd rounder, not in this draft, but the next draft, and they're going to have a seventh round pick in the draft after that, um, and then whatever the future considerations for Carter Hutton will be, we'll see. With the Dzingel trade, Dzingel was acquired, but then he was just subsequently released by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ilya Labushkin was the main target, a good stay at home defenseman, which should help Toronto down the stretch, solidify the back end. Nick Ritchie is just a surplus forward, should help Arizona, but I'm sure for Travis's sake, hopefully not too much. I did say that the Arizona Coyotes had benefited off of these trades, and I will tell you why. Last week's show, I was getting on to Travis because the Arizona Coyotes were 5 points up, and by 5 points up, they really 5 points behind the Montreal Canadiens in worst overall record. Um, they are now leading, and by leading, they're 1 point behind. They're 31 points. Montreal's now 32 points. Uh, uh, Arizona, even winning a game last week, can't match what's going on in Montreal. So speaking of Montreal, after getting off to an 0-3 start against with the new coach Martin St. Louis, and people were kind of deriding the decision, including myself. Um, they've gone to 4-0, and they've done it against some pretty decent teams, and then of course Buffalo. Uh, they did it against I believe one was Columbus, which is Columbus is man, but, they did it against Toronto, and that was like a 5-2 decision. They were up 5-0 in that game. And they did it against St. Louis, who's 2nd in the, Central Division. So, we did it against some pretty quality opponents. I watched the game against Buffalo last night, a 4-0 shutout. They looked much better. Buffalo roped them 3 times. They had 3 really good games. So the first game of the season, a game in November, and then, the second game that Martin St. Louis was behind the bench, and, Buffalo did I think scored like 5 goals in each one of those games, and last night got shut out, Montembeault with the, shutout, and, you know, they're moving up. I would not be surprised to see Montreal pass Buffalo. They're still like 9 points behind Buffalo, at this point in the season, but, there's plenty of racetrack left. There's 2 full months of the season left. Um, and we'll see what happens with the trade deadline. Montreal's not going to make a run for the playoffs, so they may, deal off some players, knowing that Marty St. Louis' system is working and may translate well going into year two. Trade off some assets and build some draft capital. But yeah, I'm kind of feeling that Buffalo's going to sneak back down into the last place, and we'll get into that in a moment. Um, Saturday night, the Nashville Predators will host the Tampa Bay Lightning in the I can't remember who's sponsoring it now. It's the Stadium Series. I think it's Navy Federal Credit Union or something like that. But the NHL Stadium Series is at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, and it'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern on Saturday night. If you're able to watch that game and you're a fan of Nashville or Tampa or just a fan of great outdoor hockey, give some kudos to that ice crew because the past day really, from Tuesday into Wednesday, uh, they were hit with over 60-degree temperatures, and torrential rains at times. It rained from about 9 a.m. until 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning until 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning, um, and they were able to maintain the ice. So once that game kicks off, they shouldn't have too many weather problems between now and the game. I think the rain event is over, and the cooler temperatures are rolling into Nashville. So, um, you know, kudos to the ice crew. They learned their lesson from previous games where they had rain and they lost the ice when Nashville played Dallas. There was rain a few days before, and it destroyed the ice. It actually messed up the paint layers, and they had to redo the lines and the ice and the logos and all that stuff. Um, of course, last year they had the issue with the outdoor games in Lake Tahoe where the sun was actually reflecting off the logos and creating issues there. So um, I don't know how many more outdoor day games we'll be seeing, um, but the NHL it continues to learn as they continue to do these NHL outdoor games. There will be an outdoor game next month between Buffalo and Toronto. That is the NHL Heritage Classic. It's the first time a American team has played in the Heritage Classes. Usually been between two Canadian franchises, but Buffalo's practically Canada anyway, so it's not really that much of a controversy. Plus, it's a good rivalry in kind of both of their home markets between Hamilton and where it's going to be played at Hamilton Tiger Cat Stadium. Um, Buffalo and Toronto are pretty close to Hamilton, so it's going to be listed as a home game for the Buffalo Sabres, um, which means Buffalo's hosted three outdoor games, although only one's been in Buffalo. One was in New York City. And then this one is in Hamilton, which is a little bit closer, and you're going to see a few more NHL fans there. But yeah, so looking forward to the Heritage Classic. Looking forward to the Stadium Series this Saturday. Um, the NHL and NHLPA have gotten into partnership with TikTok. My prediction is it is going to be awful, except for like game highlights. Um, it's going to be NHL players doing the TikTok trends and old people trying to be hip and young and funny, and it's just not going to work. I don't think. Injury news: Tony D'Angelo is out a month, which is sad because I mean, he did have a really troubled start to his career. Played on a few teams. Was kicked off of the Rangers last season for getting into it with a teammate, and has had a really good redemptive season this season with the Carolina Hurricanes. So my hope is that Tony D'Angelo comes back strong and is able to finish out the season. He's supposed to be out a month. It wasn't really disclosed what he is out for, but yeah, he's out a month. So hopefully he can come back strong and help the Carolina Hurricanes cement that top seed in the Metropolitan Division. Speaking, well, he's a former Hurricane, but good news for Devils fans as Dougie Hamilton. It's Douglas. Damn it, you're an adult. It's Douglas Hamilton. Returns tonight to the Devils lineup after missing 17 games with a jaw injury. He was hurt in a game against the Capitals. He will be wearing a visor, a full cage, I guess, or just a full visor to protect his jaw. He's been working with different pieces of equipment to see what he feels more comfortable with. Um, but yeah, he'll be back tonight. Pekka Rinne. The reason why the Nashville game tonight is at 8:30 instead of 8 o'clock, which it usually is, is that the Nashville Predators are retiring Pekka Rinne's jersey. Number 35 is going into the rafters. Finally, the uh, Predators are putting something in the rafters for a good reason. Pekka Rinne had a great run with spent his entire career in Nashville. Had a great run, led them to a Stanley Cup Finals appearance, and really stood on his head in that entire playoffs. Um, he retired this past off season, and good to see him get honored really quickly. I mean, there are teams that, I mean, it took Buffalo forever before they retired Dominik Hasek's jersey, which was made no sense. But well, glad they finally did it. Finally, I'm sorry, not finally, but the Rat is back despite losing his appeal. Brad Marchand is back in the lineup tonight. He has served his 6-game suspension. I was listening to NHL Home Ice on Sirius XM this week. And they were talking about how Brad Marchand had 8 suspensions in his NHL career, all told with fines and other things that have gone on in his NHL career. He has forfeited like $1.4 million of his salary. I don't why why I mean he's proven that he can play a straight game, but he does the dumb thing, and I mean, well, it's because he's the Rat, but um, you know that's a lot of money to give up on just to be dumb and to hurt your team, really. I don't think any of his suspensions have been, worthy of, like, helped out his team. I really don't think so. So, anyway, sad news, Toronto's first-round draft pick in 2020, Rodion Amirov, who's playing in the KHL, is out for the rest of the season, although he's been out for quite a while. He had a leg injury early in the season. He had some non-related symptoms. They tested him out and, found that he's got a brain tumor. So best of luck to him getting that, brain tumor addressed, and getting healthy and returning back to the, lineup, whether that's in Toronto with the Marlies or the Maple Leafs, or back in the KHL next season. Cancer sucks. Let's see. Let's go to hot teams this week. Well, I got three. Colorado. Who's going to stop these guys? They got a full 12-game or 12-point lead in the stronger of the Western divisions, which is the Central Division. They're 12 points up on St. Louis. St. Louis has a couple games in hand, but yeah, Colorado's just stringing it together. Now they did lose Nathan McKinnon. He's got a injury. I'm not sure how long term that injury is. I don't think it is long term, but we'll see. The other team, Calgary. Calgary is streaking, man. They're at 10 games in a row. They've shot to the top of the Pacific Division. They're passed by Vegas. Vegas is only 4 points behind them, but Calgary has 2 games in hand, and the way that they're playing, and in a weak division, uh, who knows how high the Calgary Flames go? How hot do the Calgary Flames get? Um, Vegas starting to see some dividends from the Jack Eichel trade. Eichel did get his first goal the other day. Has a couple points in a few games with the Golden Knights, and they'll probably pick up as the season goes on and he gets more comfortable in the lineup. And the final hot team, you got to give it to Montreal, man. Uh, they have their first 4-game winning streak of the season, and on the way to getting that first 4-game winning streak, they got the first 2-game and first 3-game winning streaks. This team had not won 2 games in a row all season until this week. So kudos to them. How long it lasts, I don't know, but we'll see as we move on towards the trade deadline. And my cold teams of the week, right here, Buffalo. Dropped 4 in a row. Have not looked particularly good. They did not look good in that first period against Montreal. It was basically, just a thrift shop in there. They were giving everything away, and I think there was like 21 giveaways when, over the previous couple losses, they had given away the puck 15 times in the entire game. It was not a good game for Buffalo. And it's not been a good run for Buffalo, and now they're going on a road trip, which is going to see them play St. Louis, and I can't remember who else they're playing, but uh, it's not going to be an easy road trip for the Buffalo Sabres. Um, and the rest of their season is looking very tough. They've got a lot of tough matchups coming up over the rest of the season, including all 4 games against the Toronto Maple. I'm sorry, 3 remaining games against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They play them early March, then the Heritage Classic, and then they play them in April. They've got the Golden Knights. That's going to be the game before the Heritage Classic. They'll be hosting Jack Eichel in Buffalo. That'll be an interesting atmosphere in that game. So the other not hot team this week, you got to go with Seattle. They are sliding towards the trade deadline right now. They lost 5 in a row. They're at the bottom of the Pacific Division. Um, they're only 5 points up, I think, on Arizona for the worst record in the league. And so, this could be a three team tank battle. I think Montreal is going to move out of it, and it could end up being Buffalo again, Arizona, and Seattle, heading down towards the end of the season to see who gets the first, at least the best chance at the first overall pick. Um, see who will be the first team to finish 32nd in the NHL. But anyway, that's it for the week. I appreciate folks watching. If you watched the episode, give us a like and a share. Hit subscribe on YouTube. This is being broadcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Wherever you're watching it from, give us a like and a share. We really appreciate it. It helps our algorithms and all that fun stuff. And let me do an ad for our buddy Travis. um, Travis is the purveyor of the Deep End Antiques in Beckley, West Virginia. Um, Head on down there. They got some of the best crystals and blown glass in the area. They've got great military surplus, and maybe a spider or two running around the store there. So, yeah, definitely go out and check out the Deep End Antiques. There's the Facebook address, facebook.com/the Deep End Antiques, all one word. And we really appreciate you giving Travis the business. That sounds bad. But give Travis the business. So, anyway, thank you all for watching us tonight, and we will talk to everyone again next week.